The death of a spouse is devastating. It's even more devastating when that spouse was the financially knowledgeable partner in a relationship. The death of a spouse, it unleashes a ton of financial tasks that need to be sorted through, all while dealing with the grief and sadness that accompanies loss. Now, as a financial advisor, you serve a crucial role, but there's plenty of room for improvement, as an estimated 70% of widows leave the existing advisor within the first year of a spouse's death. How big is this issue? Baby boomers control about 70% of affluent household wealth, and most of that wealth is held by married couples. With over half of widows outliving their husbands by 15 years, well, you do the math. Bottom line, you need to listen to this conversation between Mary DeRussy, an advisor who specializes in this area, and our very own Hannah Gerstner. Take a listen.
I'm with Mary DeRussy today. She's here from Tampa, Florida. She's been an advisor in the space for about 30 years, so we're very excited to hear all the insights she's gathered. Thanks for joining us, Mary.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So I want to get right into this because we were talking earlier and sharing some stats, but you work with clients across the gamut, but you really focus incredible work on working with women in the space. So why this market? What drew you to this other than being a female yourself?
I have always felt that the female market is drastically underserved. So I wanted to be able to empower women with the knowledge that they need, and also wanted to make them feel more confident about making financial decisions. So one of the interesting statistics that I have found over time is that 80% of men die married, while 80% of women die single. So many women, even if their spouse had been handling the finances for years, are going to suddenly find themselves in this situation where now they have to make all the financial decisions and they're not prepared for it. So another interesting statistic is that 90% of all women at some point in their lives will be 100% responsible for the finances in their household, but only 10% feel confident that they can do that. So again, there's a humongous disconnect in this market. So I'm absolutely passionate about educating women so that they understand all these different facets of their finance, especially as they are nearing or in retirement.
Yeah, and you do have some sort of relatability here. You've been in this position before. Can you tell me about that?
Yes. One of the things that I'm extremely passionate about is helping women that find themselves suddenly single. So whether it's a result of their spouse passed away or if they become divorced. So 6 years ago, my husband became very, very sick at the young age of 48, and he was gone within 30 days. We were not prepared for it. I certainly wasn't prepared for it. So even though I had helped many widows and widowers during the course of my career, it wasn't something that I had ever experienced before. So going through the grief and all the stuff that goes with losing your spouse, and then on top of that, you're dealing with the financial portion of it, or suddenly, you're losing the income from one person, and you're losing. There were things that I didn't even know that were going to happen specifically when it came to finances. I thought I knew all of that, but there were surprises for me because we each owned our own businesses. There were so many other things that came up during that journey. And so now, having gone through that personally, I feel like I can be such an advocate for other people, specifically widows and women, to know that, when you're looking at these statistics of 80% of women die single, it's going to happen. You look at life expectancy numbers and, we certainly tend to outlive our spouses. I lived this. I know this is true. So being prepared is so important. And it's just, women really need to be more involved in knowing more about their finances and taking action And when they find themselves in this position when they're suddenly single, being able to navigate through that, horrible situation, but on top of that, how do you handle your finances and move on to it being in a better place for that? So that's something I specialize in.
Well, I'm so sorry to hear about the experience, and thank you for sharing it with us.
Sure.
So when you go through this and you have someone who's coming to you, they experience some sort of life event like this, what does that mean for your client experience? How do you approach these things once they're coming to you looking for assistance with their finances?
Well, there's so many advisors. So I've seen the pamphlets, from, and it's not just one or two companies. Pretty much every company has a brochure that talks about this is what you do when you lose your spouse.
Like a checklist.
It's a checklist, 1, 2, 3. So do this within 5 days, do this within a week, do this within 3 weeks, do this within a month. Because of the grief that you're going through, and everybody experiences the grief journey in a different way, you can't just follow some kind of checklist. That's so unrealistic. So everybody has their own time. They have to handle it as they can handle it. And you can't be pushed into making these important decisions, immediately. It takes time to just kind of digest that you've just lost your life partner, and now all of a sudden I've got to make all these decisions about my home, about my finances, about my income. Now I'm losing Social Security or one of your Social Securities. There's just so much. So to be forced into that position where you've got to make all these financial decisions is really unrealistic. So unrealistic. So, that's one of the things that I help my clients with is just really trying to help them navigate the emotional portion of this and offer support from an emotional standpoint. And we can get to the numbers later. And I don't give them a specific timeline of when they have to do all this stuff. They can really address that as they're able to handle it. And that way, they're able to make a better decision about all of these different things when they have a clear head. But I always tell people at the beginning, it's like, I've been through this. You are not going to be able to think normally for at least a year. And they look at me like, what do you mean? This can't be accurate. But it really is true. Yeah. I mean, it becomes that hard to really focus and make good decisions. So it realistically is about a year.
Yeah. And that does make sense. You're going from something that was such an emotional time of your life, and now you have to make very sterile clinical decisions. So mapping those two sides of the brain together is such a challenge. But it's interesting because we talk to advisors all the time, and the question is, how do I go from being a good advisor to being a top advisor, an elite advisor? And the number one thing we say is you have to care a lot.
Yes.
Your client services has to be top notch. That's how you get client retention. That's how you keep your clients coming back. And it seems like you have a good grasp on that. Talk to me a little bit about what you do for your clients, how you show your appreciation for them.
I think it just comes off when I meet with somebody. They can see during the very first meeting that I really do care. So I do things above and beyond just the sterile paperwork, general meetings. I mean, I really get to know people. I really get to understand what makes them tick. I want to know about their families. I want to know about their aspirations and goals. I want to know about their fears. So when I explain what I do to a client, I tell them it's like so much of what I do is really psychology. A lot more of it is psychology than it actually is. I mean, the numbers are important, so we get into that. I mean, that's, critical. But understanding what makes somebody tick is so much more important. And I think by expressing that through my clients, just at our regular meetings, they realize that I do care. That's why I end up having clients that stay with me year after year.
Yeah, and we were talking before this about your Valentine's event, and I think that's fascinating because we help a lot of our advisors go through different types of client appreciation events, but this one is so specific to your market. So I'd love to hear more about how you came up with that, what you do.
Mm-hmm. So I do a Valentine's event every year, and it's my favorite event. I do a number of customer appreciation events every year, but the Valentine's Day is really something that my ladies really look forward to. So first of all, it's ladies only. No boys are allowed to participate no matter what. And it's really a celebration of women. So it's not just a Valentine's event where I'm going to, try to tell you about a certain product or have it kind of similar to a dinner seminar. I do it where it is a celebration. So every woman, when she walks through the door, she gets a gift bag full of goodies, very girly stuff. They get some roses. I'll do some, I'll talk about something that pertains specifically to women in investing. And then I also bring in a guest speaker. So it could be like a tax person, or it could be an estate planning attorney that's specifically talking about things that pertain to women. And then the favorite part is I will have about 25 goodie bags or big gift baskets, and then with one grand prize. And everybody that walks in gets a ticket to that, we do this drawing at the end, so they have a chance to win all these different prizes. And it's good stuff. So, but if they bring a friend, they also get another ticket. So sometimes I'll have ladies bring like 5 people, which is great for me because I'm meeting new people.
Right.
But the more people they bring, the more tickets they get, the more opportunity they're going to win something. So by the end, everybody is having a great time. We're having a fabulous luncheon. And then more importantly, there's so many women that are either divorced or maybe they're a widow, but nobody's remembering them on Valentine's Day. So this is a really cool event where they're feeling special. Maybe their spouse isn't around anymore, but they're feeling special on a day that they normally dread. And this is something they really look forward to.
Yeah.
So I feel, very happy that I can offer them that opportunity.
Yeah, building that community.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And you mentioned while you're telling me that you might talk about some specific investment advice for women. Mm-hmm. And on that topic, what are some things that you can tell women, hey, what we can do these things proactively to make sure that our finances are in good shape, providing something happens?
So one of the biggest things that I see that women do not do, especially with my older ladies, is they don't have anything in their own name. So it's so important that, yes, you may have all these joint accounts with your spouse, but it's really critical that you have your own credit, that you have your own accounts. It's not like you're doing something disloyal to your partner. I mean, it's important that you do build up your own credit and that you have your own accounts, because that's something that can come back to create problems in the event that, you have a sudden death and, now all of a sudden you're trying to rebuild financially after that death. That's just a really, really huge one.
Yeah, and that makes sense. We don't like to think about the what ifs.
Right.
What if these things happen? But the reality is most of this is inevitable at some point. So being prepared is number one priority.
Yes.
I want to shift gears slightly because we do have advisors on here who don't work specifically with a female or widow or divorcee market, but this is a niche market. And we talk quite often about a niche market being one of the things that really helps drive a market. So you found a niche, you dominated the market, you knew how to come and take over the space because you can relate with them so much. What advice do you have for advisors who might not have found that ideal customer yet?
I would say that the biggest thing is don't be afraid to define yourself by a certain niche. Because we all, when we first get licensed and get into this business, you want to be all things to all people. You don't want to turn down any business. So, you get somebody that comes in who, has $1 million and wants to do retirement planning. Great, that's fabulous. But somebody else comes in to want to do like a $25 a month, 529 plan. Sure, I'm going to do that too because I want the business. If you can really focus on a niche, then your business will build exponentially. So I always use the analogy of a doctor. So, if you look at somebody who is a general practitioner, your family doctor, yes, they are an MD, but they're not going to be the expert if you have a heart attack, right? You're going to go to your cardiologist. Or let's say, you've got a child that has cardiac problems. You're going to go to a pediatric cardiologist. So by defining that particular niche in financial services, just like in the medical community, you can really be the go-to person in your community and beyond because you have the expertise in that particular area. So it really differentiates you. And again, it's scary in the beginning because you're turning away business that's not fitting into your niche, but you have to be willing to just take that extra step, and it will pay off in huge rewards down the path.
Talking about the niche audience, I don't think I actually introduced my title, but I am the director of digital marketing here. And as we run campaigns time and time again, we know that advisors are hesitant when we tell them, let's try to make your target audience as granular as we can. Because when we have ad spend and we're trying to get in front of these niche markets, if we're trying to get in front of everyone all at once, it's like we're trying to boil the entire ocean, or we're stretching our dollars so thin. Whereas if we get granular and we have identified our niche market, our dollar goes a long way. And that doesn't mean we need to be worried that we're going to be neglecting future buyers or new prospects. You'll still have people come in who aren't necessarily in that niche, but it doesn't mean you have to spend all your money on that, exactly like you said. Credibility is a huge part of it too. The more that you are engaged in the community and know who you're speaking to and have that authenticity, statistically, we see the ROI increase over and over again. And kind of on that note and credibility, you have an incredible session and series that you do with your Bomb videos every Wednesday. Tell us a little bit more about what you do, what that topic is, and your process.
So a couple years ago, I started doing these videos. It's through a resource called Bomb. You can subscribe to the service, but it's really a video service where you can record videos and then send them out to your database of all the emails that you have. So what I found is by doing this, and in my case, I call it Wisdom Wednesdays. So every Wednesday, no matter what, if I'm traveling, even if I'm overseas, it's like I'm making sure I have my Wisdom Wednesday videos to go out first thing in the morning on Wednesdays. And so by doing that consistently, I have been able to build up a following over the last 2 years. And people, I recently made a change with my business where I actually did have a break in doing those videos, and people wanted to know, hey, what's going on? Why am I not getting the videos? It's like I really enjoy seeing that every Wednesday and it's not there. So after I experienced that, I'm like, never again. I'm doing videos every Wednesday. And it's usually, something that's like a 5 to 8 minute video. I have a different topic. I generally try to I'll have a certain focus each month. So maybe, September is Life Insurance Awareness Month. So I'm doing videos that specifically addressed any kind of life insurance planning. Kind of a dry subject, but I do try to make it fun and engaging. But I think the key is consistency and keeping it short, and then just being yourself. I mean, I was doing these at home during COVID, and I have dogs, and it's like sometimes the dogs would be in the background, and rather than editing it out, I included the dogs, and that even built more loyalty.
We're human.
Yes.
Yeah.
So people were like, hey, I want to learn more. She likes dogs. It's like, most people that like dogs are good people. So that, it makes you more endearing that you're real and you're authentic. Yeah. So
I won't tell you I'm a cat person then.
Well, I love cats too. But
So I kind of want to wrap up with one final question for you, but what excites you about the future of financial advisory?
Really being able to serve more women. Because again, I am passionate about this from the experience that I've gone through. And I think there is just such an immense opportunity to market towards women, to educate women. One of the things that I love about women is we thirst for knowledge. We want to learn more. We are good listeners, and we always have. So I think women appreciate being able to, in my case, like to work with another woman, But I think it's a great niche for men as well because, again, women are underserved and they really need to be able to find somebody that they can trust, that they feel like will listen to them, that really understands the unique concerns of women. And again, understands that at some point, 90% of women are going to be in charge solely of all the finances in their household. So if that doesn't speak loudly enough to the financial services industry, I don't know what will. But it is just such an important group. It's not, honestly, it's not a niche. I mean, people want to call it that, but we really need to focus on women because, again, we're going to be controlling so much of the finances out there. It's important that we're addressing their unique needs. And that's something that I found to be both gratifying and important just because it's such a needed service out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a great way to end. Thank you, Mary, for joining us.
Thank you.
Everyone, thank you for tuning in today. If you like what you heard, there's a link below. Feel free to give us a like and a follow on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or wherever else you consume your podcasts. Take care.